Good afternoon, students. So, continuing with the three topics of anatomy, we'll talk about another important topic today. A very important topic, very important from exam point of view also, very important clinically also. That is the brachial plexus. It's a very important full question which is always asked. So please bear in mind, you have to understand this properly. So we'll go like the previous video. We'll go methodically. We'll understand point wise how we are going to talk about the brachial plexus. So first we'll understand what do you mean by plexus. Plexus means a network of nerves. Okay, so a network, when nerves come together, when they form a network, and that network of nerves is called as a plexus, and this is a network of nerve which is going to supply the upper limb. Therefore this is called as brachial plexus. So the brachial plexus is a network of nerves. So that if you talk about the introduction, it is a network of nerves that is going to supply the upper limb. Now how is this brachial plexus formed? Okay, the brachial plexus is formed by, when you have to talk about the formation of the brachial plexus, it has four components. You have to talk of four components: roots, trunks, divisions, and cords. Okay, so these four are the components of the brachial plexus. You will have roots, trunks, divisions, and cords. Now what do you understand by roots? Roots meaning the spinal nerves which are going to contribute to the formation, which are going to join together and form the brachial plexus. Now all of us know that the spinal cord is going to give off spinal nerves. We have 31 pairs of spinal nerves which are going to come from the spinal cord, 8 of which come from the cervical region. So of the spinal nerves, you have C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1, meaning the 5, 6, 7, 8 cervical nerves, and the first thoracic nerve will unite to form the brachial plexus. So these are the roots which are going to take part in the formation of the brachial plexus. This is a ideal combination, but sometimes you can have C4 which is contributing, and that time T1 will be absent. When C4 contributes and T1 remains absent, such kind of a combination is called as a prefixed type of plexus. Okay, so when C4 is present, T1 will be absent, so brachial plexus will be formed by C4, C5, C6, C7, C8. Or the other thing is that C5 will be absent and you will have T2 that will be present. In some cases C5 will be absent and you will have C6, 7, C8, T1 and T2 will be present. Such combination, when you have T2 present, C5 absent, that kind of a combination is called as a post-fixed type of brachial plexus. So you will have one standard formation which I have told you, which extends from C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. These nerve roots are going to unite to form the brachial plexus. You have talked of two variations which can happen in this. You will have a prefixed type of a plexus where C4 is present and T1 is absent, and a post-fixed type of plexus where C5 will be absent and T2 will be present. So that is just for theoretical sake, you should know this. We'll discuss this standard formation further and how the brachial plexus goes ahead. So you will have the roots C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. I would suggest all of you to follow the diagram how I am drawing and try to draw this diagram the way I am drawing, so that it becomes easier for you to understand also. So these are the roots. Now the next part is the trunks. C5 and C6 will join to form upper trunk. C5 and C6 will join to form upper trunk. C7 will continue as middle trunk. Okay, C7 will continue as middle trunk, and C8 and T1 will join to form lower trunk. Is this clear? So C5, C6 will join to form upper trunk, C7 will go as middle trunk, and C8 and T1 will join to form lower trunk. Okay, now each of these trunks has divisions. Okay, so you will have two divisions for each trunk. Okay, so you will have the two divisions will be the ventral division and the dorsal division. Okay, so this black one is dorsal division and the red color division is the ventral division. Okay, so you will have two divisions, ventral division and dorsal division for each trunk. These divisions are going to unite to form the chords. How the chords will be formed? Ventral division of upper and middle trunk will form lateral chord. Ventral divisions of upper and middle trunk will form the lateral chord. Now only one ventral division remains. Ventral division of the lower trunk will form medial chord. Ventral division of lower trunk will form medial chord. Now you have the dorsal divisions. All dorsal divisions will unite to form posterior chord. So if you join all these dorsal divisions, they will form the posterior chord. Is this clear? So this is the formation of the brachial plexus. You have roots, trunks, divisions and chords. Roots, as I told you, C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. The trunks will be upper trunk, middle trunk and lower trunk. C5 and C6 will join to form upper trunk. C7 will continue as middle trunk and C8 and T1 will join to form lower trunk. Each trunk will have ventral division and dorsal division. Ventral divisions of upper and middle trunk will form lateral chord. The ventral division of the lower trunk will form medial chord, and all dorsal divisions will unite to form posterior chord. So this is formation of brachial plexus. I hope you have understood this. After this is memorizing. You have to memorize the branches of each of this now. Now you will have branches of the roots, you will have branches of the trunks and branches of the chords. Okay. So we will go ahead to understand the branches of each of them now. Now first, branches of the roots. You will have nerve to latissimus dorsi, long thoracic nerve, and nerve to the rhomboids, C5 and C6. C5 and C6 will form nerve to rhomboids, and C5, C6, C7 will form long thoracic nerve or nerve to serratus anterior. So you will have dorsal scapular nerve and long thoracic nerve as branches of the roots. So roots have two branches directly coming from the roots. You will have dorsal scapular nerve and long thoracic nerve as the two branches. When you talk about the trunks, only upper trunk will give branches. Okay, only the upper trunk has branches, and the two branches which come from the upper trunk are nerve to subclavius, and suprascapular nerve. So only upper trunk will give branches, that is nerve to subclavius and suprascapular nerve. So these are the branches of the roots and the trunks. Roots, two branches, dorsal scapular nerve and long thoracic nerve. Branches from the trunks, only upper trunk has two branches, suprascapular nerve and nerve to subclavius. Now we will come to the branches of the chords. Now branches of the chords, there are few mnemonics which you can keep in mind to understand the branches of the chords. Okay. So the first chord is lateral chord. Then you will have medial chord and posterior chord. These are the three chords. Okay. So what are the branches of the lateral chord? Lateral chord branches are remembered by the letter LML. LML scooters. So you will have what L means? Lateral pectoral nerve. Lateral pectoral nerve. Okay. M here is musculocutaneous nerve. Musculocutaneous nerve. And the third L is lateral root of median nerve. Okay. So the three nerves which are going to come as important branches of the lateral chord of the brachial plexus are lateral pectoral nerve, musculocutaneous nerve and lateral root of median nerve. LML. So when you remember the branches of the lateral chord, you will remember LML. Okay. So that is about the branches of the lateral chord. Medial chord has 5 branches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is written as 4 M's. 4 nerves starting with M and 1 nerve starting with U. So it is 4 MU. Okay. So what are these M's? These M's will be first. Now this was lateral pectoral nerve. On the medial side it becomes medial pectoral nerve. This was lateral root of median nerve. On the medial side it becomes medial root of median nerve. Okay, so these two lateral will become medial here. So these are the two M's. The remaining two M's will be, these are cutaneous nerves. These are not going to supply the muscles. These will supply the skin. Medial cutaneous nerve of arm and medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. So they will be cutaneous nerves. Cutaneous meaning which are going to supply the skin. Medial cutaneous nerve of arm and medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Okay. And the U, the most important nerve which is there here, is ulnar nerve. Okay. So I will repeat the branches of the medial cord of the brachial plexus. The branches of the medial cord of the brachial plexus are remembered as 4MU. 2 M's are the same as that of the lateral cord. You just have to change the lateral to medial. Lateral pectoral nerve will become medial pectoral nerve. Medial root of median nerve will become, lateral root of median nerve will become medial root of median nerve. And then there will be two cutaneous nerves, that will be medial cutaneous nerve of arm and medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. And the U will be the ulnar nerve. Okay. So these are the branches of lateral and medial cords of the brachial plexus. Now one cord remains, that is the posterior cord of the brachial plexus. Now posterior cord of the brachial plexus will give off again 5 branches. So what are the branches of the posterior cord? They are remembered as 5 branches: U, L, T, R, A. Ultra. U for upper subscapular. Upper subscapular. This will be lower subscapular. Okay, this is thoracodorsal. Thoracodorsal. This is radial, and this is axillary. Okay, thoracodorsal nerve is also called as nerve to latissimus dorsi. Okay, so the branches of the posterior cord of the brachial plexus are upper subscapular, lower subscapular, thoracodorsal or nerve to latissimus dorsi, radial nerve, and axillary nerve. So this is all about the formation of the brachial plexus, its branches, and the important things. I hope you have understood this. It's a very, very important topic. Follow the diagram, which becomes very easy for you to understand. Now, the last part of the answer is the injuries that can happen to the brachial plexus. Now, when you talk about injuries, there are 2 important injuries which you should understand. One is injury to the upper trunk of the brachial plexus and injury to the lower trunk of the brachial plexus. Okay, these 2 injuries are clinically important, and injury to the upper trunk of the brachial plexus leads to a paralysis which is called as Erb's paralysis, and injury to the lower trunk of the brachial plexus leads to a paralysis which is called as Klumpke's paralysis. Okay, so these are the 2 types of paralysis which you need to understand. That you have Erb's paralysis as injury to the upper trunk of the brachial plexus, and injury to the lower trunk of the brachial plexus will lead to Klumpke's paralysis. Now I'll revise again, so you'll for you to understand how we are going to understand this. So this is the upper trunk. If you remember, C5 and C6 will join to form the upper trunk. C8 and T1 are going to form the lower trunk. So if there is going to be an injury here, it will lead to a Erb's paralysis, and if there is going to be injury here to the lower trunk, it will lead to Klumpke's paralysis. Now, when you are going to understand this, first you should understand what is the mechanism of injury, how the person can get this injury. So the commonest injury or commonest mechanism of injury which is described for both of them is when the baby is being born. That time, if there is undue stretching of the head or the hands are stretched, there can be injury to either to the upper trunk of the brachial plexus or the lower trunk of the brachial plexus. That will be birth injury. Then the second cause of injuries can be a direct blow on the shoulder. You can have a direct blow on the shoulder which can cause injury to any of them. And a very unique mechanism which is there for injury to the lower trunk of the brachial plexus is if a person is falling from a height and he clutches on something. You can understand, a person is falling from a height, he finds something to hold and he holds on something, and then that jerk which is got here, that is going to cause injury to the lower trunk of the brachial plexus and will lead to Klumpke's paralysis. Now, so these are some mechanisms of injuries which you should understand which can lead to this paralysis. Now what will happen because of this is the muscles which are going to be involved or supplied by the nerves which are going to come out from the upper trunk and the lower trunk are going to be affected here. Now the main nerve which is going to be affected here from the upper trunk, you can understand you will have the musculocutaneous nerve, you will have the lateral pectoral nerve, you will have some part of the medial pectoral nerve also, you will have suprascapular nerve to subclavius. So these nerves are going to be involved there when there is going to be injury to the upper trunk of the brachial plexus, and a very unique deformity happens. Please understand this deformity. What happens is the arm will be adducted and medially rotated, forearm is extended and pronated, and the wrist is flexed. So this is the deformity which happens in Erb's paralysis, and this deformity is called policeman's tip deformity. ये दे दे मेरे को टिप दे दे ऐसे करके. That's the policeman's tip deformity or porter's tip deformity. That generally because you have affection of the flexors of the forearm, the flexors of the arm, you have the pectoralis major which is affected. So these muscles will cause this deformity where our arm is adducted and medially rotated, forearm is extended and pronated, and the wrist is flexed. So this kind of deformity is called as porter's tip deformity or policeman's tip deformity. What happens in clump case paralysis? Clump case paralysis, generally you should know that the most important nerve that is going to come or involved here, it will be the ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve supplies the small muscles of the hand, and therefore when there is injury to the small muscles of the hand, there will be this deformity. This deformity is called as claw hand. This is also called as the ulnar claw hand, where there is going to be paralysis of the small muscles of the hand resulting in this injury. Okay. You can add one more type of injury to the to the brachial plexus, where directly the root of the brachial plexus may be involved, and that is C5, C6, C7, that is the long thoracic nerve or the nerve to the serratus anterior, and this we have discussed when we have talked about serratus anterior. If serratus anterior is going to be paralyzed, the deformity will be resulting is called as winging of scapula. So that can also be added here as injury to the brachial plexus. Okay, so this is all about understanding the brachial plexus, how it is formed, what is the formation, what are the branches, and the supposed injuries of the brachial plexus. The videos are going good. I am receiving a lot of likes, but as usual there are no comments to the videos. I request all of you to please go through the videos carefully. This is going to be a very important session for you to revise yourself. I am taking the topics as they are given in my book. Please refer to my textbook also for detailed understanding.